Oh, hello. I survived my first StitchCon. And if you know, you know. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel, Spring Healed Stitches. It's your stitchy host, Jess, and I'm here to do a recap of my first StitchCon. Anyone who followed me from going there, thank you. I did have to tell myself to let's make a video because I'm here saying that I'm a Flosstuber with like 5 videos, so I need to like step it up. So that was fun, but I'm still like getting my feet wet with this whole process. And this is also the face of a gal who has realized that her iPad, which I think I've had for 18 months now, and I haven't been able to get the back camera on. I've done all the resets and I did all this other stuff and I took it out of the case, everything else. I'm going through, you know, the rabbit holes and the forums. I'm just kind of basically going, I think I just need to take this to the Genius Bar because it's not working. I've tried everything. Tried turning it off and on again. Did the factory reset, did all of that stuff. So I was doing my videos with a web camera and then my phone, which doesn't have enough storage, so I do a video and it'd cut halfway out and then just be like, you know, cursing. So that's really fun. But I'm like, I have this iPad, it has storage, it must be better, but I can't get the back camera on. So I was just about to say like, okay, I'm not gonna try the iPad anymore. I give up, set up the thing for the webcam and go on forward with it. And I tried one more thing and oh, you know what it was? It was my screen protector. My screen protector. This little black line was hiding the camera. So it wasn't the case, it wasn't the pencil, it was my screen protector. And so I'm very mixed emotions. One, look at myself like, wow, what a genius, but also kind of proud of myself, like, good thing you didn't go to the Genius Bar and wait in line and pay people and then say like, oh, your screen protector is on. That's why your back camera's not working. So now we have hopefully a better camera system. I don't have to buy another webcam or anything like that because, I mean, I don't know if we're at that level. But this is going to be a wrap up from StitchCon. And I'm also rocking a little bit of my other Stitchy Retreat, the Witchy Stitcher Summerween. We are in July right now. It is summer, and you know, July 5th is going to happen, and then it's just going to be all Halloween down from there. So deal with it, folks. But right now, we're just kind of trying to enjoy the summer. It's been a lot of rain. It's been a lot of instances where I'm like, oh, what a nice day to go out in the backyard and, you know, stitch on the patio or maybe take a nap in the hammock. And then it rains, or I get all my work done for the weekend and, you know, the yard work, the housework. And then I'm like, wow, it's so really nice outside and it's quiet. And it's summer, so there's light outside, so I can go out there and read a book. And then I go and it's like, is that rain? Is it raining now? So after this, hopefully I'm gonna get some time to do it. Today I was kind of stopping myself from going manic and shopping at all the stores that are open because I had an extra day off for the holidays for government work. Yippee. But now I'm like, there's all these like cool stores that are open around in my city, bakeries. I went to Bite This Bakery, which is only open from like Thursday through Sunday, and they have really big lines on the weekend and really sell out. So I guess I've just been kind of chicken to go on the weekend, but we went this morning, got some goodies. Really cute little shop. But I was driving with my kid and I'm like, oh, we should go here, and she's like, Mom, please, I just want to go home and relax, because she's 11 going on 12, so that is her prerogative right now. But if I got some time, I'm gonna film a Flosstube and then maybe I'll go enjoy outside. But knowing my luck, it will rain. So oh my gosh, StitchCon! Let me put this clearly. StitchCon is an event. If you've been, you know. If you're part of the team, you know. If you're like me, who's like, oh, I love a little cute cross-stitch retreat and it's so fun. It's not a retreat. It's an event. It really is a convention which is kind of when I'm talking to folks about like what I'm doing. I go like, I'm going to a cross-stitch convention. I'm going to a cross-stitch conference. And they immediately think like a business conference kind of thing. Like, what in the heck would you do at a cross-stitch conference or convention? So you say retreat. I'm going to retreat, which kind of makes a little more sense. But this is really a convention. It's, I mean, like, there is socializing. There are also people sitting outside the hallways being like, this is too much socializing for me. And that's absolutely okay. But I think I was at weekend B, which was about 350 people. So it's 350 people, plus the staff who are running it, plus people going in and out. So it's a lot. I mean, it's a huge ballroom just full of people stitching. There's so much, you were packed in so tight that you really kind of have to do this serpentine way and like have a pattern of where you're going to go and say like, if I go to this table, I want to look around, and then you're like looking over like, oh, hey, how's it going? Looking around. But it's so much fun. People from all over the United States and the world came. So it was like fascinating. I really did like the roll call that they did on the first night, where they shouted out folks saying like, we have 3 stitchers from Maine, we have 2 stitchers from Nevada, and they go like, we have 61 stitchers from Ohio, and we're all like, yay, we're obnoxious because we only had to travel a couple hours to get here. But we had stitchers from this one. We had stitchers from Canada, Scotland, and France, which is really cool. And then of course I met new stitchers. So I went with my mom, as always. Who else? And she had her friends, and they had friends who were at other tables, so they kind of got there before us, got their table set up. But then we kind of did the same thing as Witchy Stitcher. We're like, well, we're not saving any extra seats, so if we got some people want to join, we can join. So we got 2 new people, 2 new stitchy friends. I'm part of a Facebook group now, messenger group, and we're, you know, texting everyone, talking about like all of our new activities. So it's really fun. For this video, I'm not going to use anyone's names. Just because I don't know how comfortable they are with their names out in the public, so I'm just going to refer to them as where they were from. So I will say my new stitchy friends that I met, besides my mom's friends who I knew before, I have new stitchy friends now from Colorado, from Tennessee, and from Kentucky. I also have new stitchy friends from Detroit, where I just was, and then Brooklyn. Stitchy friend from Brooklyn, you were a hoot to sit next to the entire convention, and just talk about, you know, your life, your experiences with the hobby, and your interest in the craft. So, I mean, it's a lot of that. Not only is it just the hours and hours of stitching and socializing, there are trunk shows at StitchCon, and there is the Stitchy Bunch, which you ride over to Keepsakes. Keepsakes is the local knit workshop. It's also run by Barbara, who runs StitchCon. So it's a must-go if you're down in that area of the country, in the Midwest, if you're doing something in that tri-state area. What is Ohio's tri-state? It could be anything. It could be Pennsylvania, Michigan, Indiana. It could be Kentucky, West Virginia, whatever your tri-state means to you. I don't think it's a good definition for here in Ohio. But their shop it's in a beautiful little house. It is just absolutely floor to ceiling with models. I think they said something like 1,500 models on the wall. I mean, like, models are everywhere. I would say like kind of like my gallery wall, but even better, because my gallery wall, there's only 1 stitchy thing on my gallery wall. 2. Okay, 2. Ignore me. But it's just literally like that. That's the whole area is there. They have the rooms divided into seasons. So there's a spring and winter room. There's a Halloween and Christmas room, or, you know, fall and winter, fall winter things. They have a summer patriotic room. So it's super cute. And then they have the trunk show, which I went to at least twice, walked around. I kept going and back, like, oh, I'll go back and get some more stuff, and I'll go back and get some more stuff. And my money just flew out the door. And it was really funny because they kept talking about all of the protocols they had set up for if you didn't want to wait in line. So they had a hold room, so you could go through, grab your stuff, and then say, I'm going to go put this in the hold room, and then I'll check out later. They had like 2 carts set up, so one would run a ticket for you, and then you would wait in line, and then you'd go up to the cash register like, well, they already ran the ticket, so I need to just pay. But they had these set up just for like, what if you forgot your wallet? What if you forgot this? And I'm like, who's going to forget their wallet? I forgot my wallet twice in line, but they took Apple Pay because I was like, I want to have to go back and put this in the hold room after I just like, you know, made some crappy comment to myself, like, who forgets their wallet at the stitching shop? Me. I forgot my wallet twice. So I got Apple Pay. Again, real genius person here. So, but let me show you what I did. I pulled off a finish. Very excited about this. I wanted to ring the bell. If you do, what we got on the TV? Who knows what I'm watching today? I'm watching the Congress. What a big nerd I am. So if you've been to Stitchy retreats, the whole idea of ringing the bell and getting that finish is a big accomplishment. And that bell goes off all the time at StitchCon. So if you're sitting in those front rows there, you have like really great patience. You're obviously not annoyed by loud noises. You probably like go sit in the splash zone when you go to like a sea park, because that bell, bing, 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 it's not a cowbell. It's just like a service bell. So, but I wanted to ring the bell, and since I had started this at Witchy Stitcher, and this was on my WhipGo board, but it hadn't, the numbers hadn't been called. I'm like, well, gosh darn it, I really want to start it. So I started it during Witchy Stitcher. I was going through, and I was realizing, like, I'm not going to say easy, but it was flowing a lot faster than I thought it would be. I also will say, this is a lot smaller than I thought it would be. So I'm going to show you this on the back. This is Lola Crow's Gothic Authors, and I got it from my local needlework shop with a little old-timey sticker. And I get this pattern, and this pattern folds out. It's 2 8x11 pieces, so it was really wonderful, big to read. So my thought was, it's going to be huge. What a big pattern. Just, you know, not realizing the spatial of the pattern being bigger in size. This is on 14 count. I also picked this up at the same spot that I got the pattern from, and it was, there are some dye, a little bit of dyes in here. So I kind of positioned this to be like, oh, like some of the dye will be through here, but it's just very small. Like, let's see. Here's like a Febreze bottle for, like, the Febreze bottle is bigger. So it's a very small piece. It's very small. But I enjoy it nonetheless. For the most part, that first block there is Gaston Leroux. And once I saw that on the block, the pattern had to go immediately in the bag. I immediately had to do this because I am a big Phantom of the Opera fan, as you can tell from right over here off to my right on camera. Oh, and then also over here too. Oh gosh, 2 more. Okay, big Phantom of the Opera fan. If you haven't caught on, if you're new here, Phantom of the Opera. And I actually don't think I've ever cross-stitched anything Phantom of the Opera, so this might be the first Phantom of the Opera cross-stitch in my like 20 plus years of being a fan. But I wanted to grab it because, you know, usually when we talk about Gothic authors, Gothic novels, Universal monsters, Phantom of the Opera kind of gets left off to the side. Like, he's kind of canon, not canon. Is it the Lon Chaney silent movie version, which fits into the other classics? Is it the Claude Rains one, which is from the 40s? Kind of gets left to the side, but very important because it was one of those mystery serial novels. And just to be like, to have been back in the time and read it, it's kind of also like Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Pop culture has kind of already ruined that for us. We know that Dr. Jekyll is Mr. Hyde. Spoilers, sorry if you didn't know that, but the book's over 100 years old. But to be reading the book, if you didn't know that, and then to like discover like, oh my gosh, Dr. Jekyll is Mr. Hyde, or for example, like, oh my gosh, Christine is not talking like, you know, about some spiritual person, like it's not there. There really is a Phantom of the Opera living in the basement of the opera house. So, that was pretty cool. Obviously, one of the main reasons I stitched this, and I have not read the one book by Radcliffe, so I need to get on that. But we have, LaRue, Stevenson, Bram Stoker's Dracula. We have Bronte. You know, here's my crazy wife is up here in the mansion part of the house. You know, please marry me. Don't forget my mad wife up here. Mary Shelley and the creature. I like the motif here of the sailboat. Oscar Wilde, and then Edgar Allan Poe, which everyone loves Edgar Allan Poe. I mean, he's given us poetry that shapes, you know, a very specific American Gothic core to this country. However, though, like other problems I have being a big nerd is Edgar Allan Poe as a person was not a nice guy. I'm not like as in he was weird and dark and broody, as in like he was a drunk who married his 13-year-old cousin. And even back then in the 1830s, people were like, Edgar, that's pretty freaking weird. I mean, I know we all marry teenagers and cousins back there, but you cannot be marrying a 13-year-old cousin. Oh my gosh. If you want some fun, but not as in a very favorable light, material about Edgar Allan Poe, check out The Dollop. They did a 2-part episode on him earlier this year or last year. I don't know. Everything's a blur. I mean, we're in August, for crying out loud. But this was a finish. I was like down to here the second night, and I went over to the late night stitching room, and I was like spite stitching. I'm like, I'm gonna get this stupid thing done. I was like, calm down. Slow your roll, girl. Went to sleep, got out the next morning, finished it. But this was really fun. And I said, I want to think this is maybe about 2 hours for each of these blocks. And then of course you got the borders there as well. I didn't grid it except this one spot up here to make sure I was on target. And then I just kind of, you know, went for it. But it's very small. I would probably, this is on Ada cloth, probably recommend linen just because the letters, so it's the authors, and they're on bus, which are bookcases, and the lettering style is very cool and quirky, but it's also a little bit off-kiltered, so you're going into the holes of the fabric, which would probably be a lot easier if you were doing it on linen or even weave. And I mean, I think it'll look fine in a frame, but if I'm still persnickety about it, I might redo the letters in 2-strand. Pattern called for 1-strand. I think I might redo them in 2-strand. But again, this is Gothic Authors by Lola Crow, a finish at StitchCon to hopefully be framed sooner rather than later. So, I'm going to do a little bit of a haul because I think we saw mostly everything else that I was working on. The same stuff I had at Witchy Stitcher, I was working on throughout StitchCon, and I've had a couple new, like a new start, but kind of basically the same thing. But I got a big haul of stuff, so I'm going to go through my haul really quick. Let's see. I got this bag. It's got the Disney villains on it, and this has my new start, so I'll show you that later. But as I was going through and buying the patterns and coming up to the front and checking out and having them put in my bag, Barbara from Keepsake, she's like, oh wow, you're a Halloween girl. I'm like, yeah, you got my number. It's okay. It's okay. I know who I am. This is what I do. So, again, the money. But hey, you know, it was June last month. It was my birthday month. So I kind of think that I didn't really need to go out and have a party or do something crazy like, you know, fly out to Vegas, even though that's nice. Because I had so much fun doing stitching stuff. So I also got so many wonderful freebie gifts from folks. I did my little needle minders out of the press penny, which now they're going to get rid of the press penny. What am I going to make that up? But I gave those to my table and the 2 tables beside us. But folks are giving out needle minders and free patterns and extra needles. We did make a joke at StitchCon because my seatmate from Brooklyn was talking about, oh, would you like to try this needle? What about this one? She's like, well, I'm trying this one, but I'm going to give this to you because I really care for it. And I said, are you sharing needles? We had a laugh because you can't really share needles outside of StitchCon. That would not be good in the real world. So I don't know. I'm just going to do everything that I got from Trunk Show and keepsakes. You know. So I found these by Works by ABC. And I'm going to zoom in. As you can kind of tell, they're cross-stitch patterns, but the crosses don't always meet, so they're actually making a pattern in themselves with the colors. So I saw this daffodil one, I saw this cherry blossom one as a model. I wanted that, and I dug through the patterns to get them. And then when I was showing them off, someone at the table next to me is like, you found the cherry blossoms. Did you have it on hold? And I was like, I swear. I dug through these myself. So these are really pretty, and I think these would be great gifts for someone. But I also just was fascinated by the pattern making, and I absolutely love cherry blossoms and daffodils. So I bought both of those to be stitched. I also got this one by Petal Pushers. It's the Halloween one, duh. But they also had a mouse one for summer, strawberries. And then they had a carrot one, bunnies for Easter. I didn't find this board, but I'm sure it is somewhere. Yes, I'm looking at the back of the pattern. It's telling you like where you can find it. It's like, if you're interested in finishing like this, just look at what I've included for you in the pattern. Very nice when you get those on a paper pattern versus just buying a pattern on Etsy that you might not know the designer, but getting in a paper pattern from an established designer or getting a digital pattern from an established designer. I think I've actually seen this before and then just grabbed it because here, this was from Stitchy Pros, and it is a witch bell pull. It says, after twilight embraces, witch weaves spells with needles and lace. It's supposed to be rather big. So the model was done on 40 count. And they said the size was 3.7 inches by 14 points. So it's, fairly bigger. Not like super big, but definitely need to find the right fabric for that. And it's done with Classic Color Works is the color, but it's only 2 colors. So why not? I love the motif of all the needles and the moon. And I love to actually try something here on a bell pull as well. Let's see, I got this from Fine Frog Stitching, who I was actually next to the table of BadStitch and Stitch Sprout and Fine Frog Stitching, and I don't know where it is in my pile of stuff, but BadStitch and Stitch Sprout gave out free patterns for there. So there was one with a snail and one with a bat, and then I have this crow. And then I found this fabric, which is Bee Stitched Me and it's Evil Queen. I mean, look at that. And so then I had this manic idea, and I went to my husband and said, hey, do you think I can repaint the downstairs bathroom? Because I have this pattern and 2 other patterns and this fabric, and I think I could make those 3 patterns and put them in the bathroom, and then I need to paint the bathroom to match it. So please let me do that. And he was like, I don't care, do whatever you want to do. Do whatever you want to do. So that's my plan, is to do the Moon Merchant Crow, and then the other 2 patterns, which I know they're here, but when I was getting ready for this one, I couldn't find the Gothic authors. I'm like, oh my gosh, you dumb woman, did you lose your finished piece? I have lost finished pieces in my house and have not found them for months, so that would not be that would be par for the course. So Fine Frog Stitching the Moon Merchant, gonna work on this fabric because it was speaking to me, and it was already cut into a fat quarter, so like, can I just have this? I don't need to cut anywhere else. I'm very lazy. Everyone else is like, I know exactly how I want this much, and I'm gonna get another pattern which has this much fabric, and I need allowance, so I maybe need this and this. I'm like, whatever is cut, I don't care. I'll work with it. I'll make it work. So, oh my gosh, I got some magnetic frames. So I kind of took advantage of the fact that they were already purchased and here in the US, and I did not have to worry about getting them from overseas. So I picked up a couple of these from Wonderland Crafts, made in the Ukraine, and I gotta think of something to put in them. But I know I'll find something to put in these frames. Let's see, some more patterns, more patterns, more patterns, more patterns. My mom grabbed this one for me at the last minute because I said, oh, what a really nice one. I totally walked by this pattern maker, Sweet Wing Studio, and I saw another one that I liked. And I said, I guess I just didn't pay attention to their displays that much, but now that I went around for a second look, it's very nice. And then I made a joke in my YouTube short that I should do a stitch along and stitch a stitch for every time our president says something stupid. And I'd be finished within a week. I'd be finished in a day if I watched C-SPAN enough. Good gravy. But this is a very nice piece of an American flag. If you don't, it's Americana without being, like, you know, too crazy. And that's the issue. Like, I'm an American history nerd. I have t-shirts with Gettysburg on them. I've got, you know, history books lined up on my wall. But then it's like, if I, like, wear them or talk about my patriotism, do I make people worried, like, yeah, what kind of patriot are you? I'm like, not one of those Jan 6 patriots. I know what I'm talking about. I'm one of those, like, you know, I wear a tricorn hat on the 4th of July patriot. I did see a segment on the news about the test to be a Gettysburg tour guide and how grueling it is. And I kind of saw and went, whoa, but also went, ooh, I should do that. It looks harder than the bar exam, to be honest. I'm like, oh, what if I could do that? So maybe that'll be like my secondary retirement goal, is I pass that test and I become a Gettysburg tour guide. That'd be a lot of fun. I also got this hand-on design, the Stitching Parliament. I think I've said hand-in design in previous videos, so you heard it from me. I don't know what I'm talking about. It's hand-on design. I've seen this like 3 or 4 times. I think I might have even picked it up in a local needlework shop and went, maybe later. So at this point, it's like, it's time to buy it. And look at that. It's owls. I mean, I love owls. And then, of course, it's all stitching stuff as well. I picked this one up for my husband. He deserves another a stitch piece. And he is in the Coast Guard and he loves boats. So I thought this was a good one as well. I bought all of the called for fabric except the red they were out of at the shop. So I need to order some more of the called for red. Another gal who has my name, like, you know, has it all set up, is the Sue Hill Designs. I got this from Keepsakes and I'm very excited to try this out because the whole, I'll just go really quickly so I'm not, like, you know, infringing on the design, but there's finishing instructions in here, how much of their fabric that you need. They do an absolutely wonderful job of laying this out. So it's the box with the alphabet and the skeleton scissor fob. No, box and then the scissor fob, and this is also the tape measure as well. So, keep digging in his bag. It's like Felix the Cat. Here's a coffin. Here's another coffin. I think this is for the fob, but then I saw this coffin. I'm like, I'm going to buy that coffin too, because what gal doesn't need another couple of spare coffins lying around? All right. Going through here. Oh, I'm in here. Those were the other 2 patterns that I got from, oh, sorry, the Stich Crypt. My bad, the Stich Crypt. But I think Stitch Sprout was there too, and their designs are amazing as well. But there's Stich Crypt who had the snail, and then BadStitch had the bat. And then I'm going to lean over and not jump scare you on the camera, but look at that. I'm going to do all 4. I'm going to do these 3 and hang them in my bathroom, and then paint my bathroom. Famous last words, but I'm very inspired by those couple patterns, so yeah. Oh, digging through. Let's see what else we have. I know I have a bunch of stuff. We got so many, like, grand little goodies from folks as well. Thread cards, needle minders. Alright, I think that's probably it, unless we're going to be here just looking at every, like, bit and bob that I got. The video will be way too long. Got some, oh yeah, look, there's stuff in here. Good gravy. I got some even weave to try. I've done Ada and I've done linen. I haven't done even weave, and you know, you're just sitting there with all these folks talking about this and that, and it's peer pressure. So I got this from Millennial Fabrics. I also got another one from Millennial Fabrics as well. That'll show you in a little bit, but this is chickadee. I want to say chickpea because it looks the shade chickpea. But this is chickadee, and their fabric's 28 count even weave. And I've also got extra stuff in the back, but I forgot where I stashed it. It's been 2 weeks, and I still haven't unpacked anything from StitchCon, and I probably never will. I'm trying to gear myself up to redesign this office space because half of it is just like, you know, it's bins, and then the trash bag is on top of the bins because the puppy will eat everything from the trash. But I want to definitely try to redo this room so that it can have like a guest bed in there because we don't really have a guest bedroom here. You come to my house, you're going to be sleeping on the very comfortable beanbag on the chair, but it's not really so much privacy. And then I also have a stitching chair over here, but I never use it because it's always occupied by a dog. So I'm thinking of getting some sort of couch or bed that I can use to sit in, and then it can be a bed and maybe a bookcase or something like that. Another grand plan, you know, you get some like wild ideas, and then you're like, I'm going to do this and that, you know, and then we'll see what happens in a couple months. But anyway, that's my brand haul from StitchCon. You either like enjoyed it or fast forwarded to it because you really could not care about it. Like, be like, glad you bought all that stuff. I'm glad I kept my money, but that's okay. So let's do a new start and then the whip go for June, July. So I looked at this piece for a while, saw it from Nashville Marketplace, and I went, that's a really cute sampler. And as I mentioned in my last video, I have a brand new nephew. So when I was stitching with my mom, I said, are you stitching something for a nephew? And she said no. So I said, okay, dibs. So I grabbed this one. And of course I showed it to my husband. I said, don't you think this would be cute for a nephew? And he's like, why does it say Oliver? And then he laughed, and I punched him. Like, okay, nice dad joke, because his name is not Oliver. His name is Nephew, redacted. But I showed it to my brother, and I said, would this be something that would fit into your vibe with the nursery? I think it's kind of very neutral and modern. And I'm like, and also you can't say no to me. Because I'm the older sister. So I decided to start this, and I got another fabric. This is River Rock by Millennial Fabrics, and this is 18 count Ada. And I've kept on the fabric because I want to see how this looks small. It's actually called for to do 14 count, but I kind of wanted to make something smaller so that if you have it in a baby room or a nursery and then you move it out from there, can it stay on the wall and be like small and part of the nursery? I want to do like a giant, like, you know, poster size sampler birth announcement that by the time he's 10, 12, 15 years old, like, I do not want that thing in my room. And then also it can move somewhere else in the house and not be so, like, you know, out of place. So I started this on the 18 count, and I had to grid this like 3 or 4 times. Because again, past Jess came back and she's like, you know, this square is 9. And then I like counted like, oh yeah, 9. And then all these ones were off. So I just flipped it over. In fact, did I have it? Yeah, here's the other side of the fabric where I started and realized that I goofed up the count. But I think a couple more stitches and I'll be brave enough to cut the rest of this off and go for it, because it does have black work in it, and it's on the model, it's kind of chunky, which I don't dislike. I kind of like it better than so, but I think when I get to the black work, I'm gonna start with the 2 count, because I'm doing 2 threads with here. I'm gonna see how it looks on the smaller count of fabric with 2 threads. I also got this super cute needle minder from Stitchy Pros. It says Boo-ha. And I thought that was appropriate because I'm a Halloween girly. And we'll be going to Texas later this year. That was not on the agenda, just to visit Texas, not to stay. That was not on the agenda, but now I'm like, okay, I've never been to Texas, so let's do all that Texas stuff, you know. Let's go. So that's what I'm working on now. Counting Puddles is the designer. Forgot to mention that. Counting Puddles is a modern baby sampler. And you could use this, I think, for either gender. That's why I enjoyed it so much. I think there is one, maybe, I think there's another one that's more feminine, but I think you could definitely do this with a boy or a girl. And it kind of matches, like, you know, lullaby nursery, like a general lullaby, you know, theme of a nursery. So I'm going to work on that and hopefully get that finished before nephew is like, you know, I'm like, here's your present, nephew. It's your birth anniversary. He's like, thanks, Auntie Jess. I'm graduating high school tomorrow. Like, I worked on it for so long. And then, of course, it doesn't have too many colors with it, which is another bonus for me. There's the color palette, which is very chic. I enjoy that. And then I'm also going to use my thread organizer that I got in my StitchCon goodie bag. This way to StitchCon. So that is a new start. In the new start, you know, new shiny object process of stitching. So, and now I have my Whip Go, which I purposely put on a bigger thing and then put out on my site. So, my Whip Go call numbers this month were for the same project, which is okay. I started that earlier in the first of the year was the same project. So this is hand-on design, which I think I said hand-in design before, hand-on design. This is Seasons 2. I saw someone working on this in StitchCon, and I think they finished, and then they said they were doing a thread conversion, and I was like, ooh, that's fancy. I'm like, I just grabbed the DMC and did what it was called for there. But as you can see, again, it's July, and we're not even there yet. So we've got January, February, March. I finished up the bunnies. Actually, I have to put one more stitch into the bunnies. I forgot their noses. And now I'm working on the bees. You can see from the beehives, or I think I called them beekeeping boxes in a video. Again, I don't know what I'm talking about. But beehives. So beehives will be for May. And then we've got berries and crows for June. And then only 6 more months to go. I kind of want to see, I'm enjoying the symmetry of this piece. So, like, these beehive boxes are the same. The bunnies were the same. The carrots were kind of the same. So it's really easy to, like, go along and get those done. So when I get, like, a good rhythm and pace to that, it makes the project more enjoyable to it. I know that we're going to have an accent line up here and then, you know, some motifs. So that part is enjoyable. I've also been having to keep the new puppy Dipper from stealing my floss. He got one of the colors, and I don't know. I don't know if you can recover. So there was the other part of the bobbin, and that's what he chewed. And I just didn't. I'm like, you can't really Google, like, can you restore floss after it's been slobbered on by a dog's mouth? So I decided the answer was no, and I just bought a new skein for this color. But he enjoyed it, and then of course I freaked out, and now when this thing is out, I can't leave it out just in the, you know, had better luck with my previous dogs and cat that they had no interest in the cross-stitch projects, but now I feel like this one might take a bite out of something whenever he is left alone. So I'm going to work on this. My goal for each Whip Go number was 7 days work. So since it was double, it's 14 days work. So 14 days from the 25th of the last month to the 25th of this month. My Whip Go numbers from June, I don't think I ever touched. I think it was to work on another new start and then a previous piece. But I was just too busy doing the, like, you know, Witchy Stitcher Retreat and then StitchCon and all the new stuff that came with it. And then, of course, I wanted to finish up the Gothic authors. So that's what I did instead. So, that's about it. That's about it. Again, StitchCon was amazing, but exhausting. But it was wonderful making so many friends, meeting new folks. I put some highlights up on my reel of some of my really cool stuff that I saw there on the brag table. I mean, that's just stunning. I think that more often our hobby should get a chance to just like put that out and display it. I know it's fair season that's coming up. I'm considering maybe I have one entry in for the state fair. I'm considering maybe just throwing one in for the county fair just because. And maybe that's just the reason to be like, you know, here is this hobby art, and if people can enjoy it, part of it, because like watching the stuff on the brag table was really cool. And then of course you met the stitchers there. So there was one that it was a whole portrait. I mean, I want to say it was bigger than this piece of fabric, probably even twice the size. And it was done with the Smyrna stitch. I probably said that wrong, but it's the cross and then the extra crosses there. So instead of X's, it was that stitch. The entire piece was that stitch, and it made like a, you know, minimalist portrait of an African-American woman with sunflowers, and it was gorgeous. And of course it was right there, so I got really close and I'm like, these stitches are absolutely perfect. They're done by a South Carolina stitcher. She came over and talked about it, and I was just like, I am blown away at how neat these stitches are. And then also just to take that concept of making a decorative stitch and using it to make like I mean, it was a really simple block minimalist pattern. And it was gorgeous. So it's like, if you looked from afar, you'd be like, oh, whatever, like it looks like, you know, pixel art, you know, but you look at it, it's like, no, this is like a technique over and over and over and over again, like done perfectly. There was another, one of our other table neighbors did the modern folk embroidery one. Gosh, I wrote down the note. I forgot it. No Time Like the Present. So they did that big piece that it's a clock in the middle, and they had it framed as a working clock. Absolutely gorgeous. There was some other stuff with some really neat framing as well. Another thing I didn't realize were cross-stitch retreat things that people kind of had little tableaus set up at their table. So they'd have like a stitching box and a magnet thing with like their favorite stitches, or, you know, their accessories and scissor fobs. It was kind of like a little tableau. Like, if you don't see me here stitching, like, this is my vibe. This is a little piece of me. And I'm like, wow, that's cool. I didn't know you could do that. So maybe next time. There was another piece someone did. It looked like the peppermint purple blackwork Sal, and it was done by a young stitcher from Kentucky. Not like a young, you know, like a teenager. And it won Best of Show, and deservedly so, because it was absolutely gorgeous. So I took a picture of that. It's on the highlight on my reels. And then, of course, obviously, meeting people, checking out their Flosstube, seeing ideas, getting some more information of what folks are doing. So, you know, and that's what, like, you know, kind of our community of stitching is to share ideas and share inspiration. Otherwise we wouldn't have Flosstube. We'd all just be sitting at home stitching, which, speaking of stitching, it's not raining. So I think I might get out there, if it's not too god-awful hot, and get some stitching done on this wonderful summer afternoon. So hopefully it's not raining where you are. Or if you like the rain, you like to stay inside on a rainy day, that's fine too. So I hope you have great weather for whatever you're doing. It's past Canada Day. I hope you had a blast Canada Day. 4th of July. If you gotta, you gotta. I understand. Happy Bastille Day for folks in France. Happy summer, you know, happy summer holidays for wherever you are at. And I will see you all next time. Bye.